What do you want to be when you grow up? I'm sure it's a question that everyone here has been asked at least once in their life. I've been asked more times than I can count, and even to this day, I still get asked. But when I was little, my answer to that question was never the same. One day I wanted to be a librarian, the next a teacher, and the next a baker. The one constant of this interaction was the question that I would always get asked next. Why don't you want to be a doctor? And then they'd give me some explanation as to why that made perfect sense for me to be interested in. But I would always respond the same way, with the most horrified look on my face and say, absolutely not. I could never be responsible for someone else's life. Well, do I have some news for 5-year-old Emily? Imagine that if I went back in time and told her that medicine was the only thing I could picture myself having a career in now, she would look at me like I'd lost my mind. Looking back, it makes total sense that everyone would assume I wanted to be a doctor. Science was always my favorite subject, and despite my early love for reading, English class could never keep my attention. Instead, I would watch the clock tick until it was time for the good stuff. My only issue with my early science education was the lack of depth, except about clouds. For some reason, they expected us third graders to learn a weirdly specific amount of information about clouds. I don't know what that was about. But that didn't satisfy my desire to learn more about biology, and that theme continued pretty much until the end of 8th grade. And so did my changing answers about what I wanted to be. But then it was time to go to high school, and suddenly I had all this freedom to choose the classes that answered the questions that were burning in the back of my mind. So I dove headfirst into almost every science course that my school offered. Biology, anatomy, medical interventions, if you can name it, I probably took it. I was the kid who stayed after class to ask one more question, even though I'd already asked 20, and the one who got genuinely excited when we brought out the fake arms to practice blood draws and wound care. Oh, and I can't forget the time when we did a lab where we literally changed the DNA of an E. coli bacteria to make it glow. That's how you know it's real love, when fake arms and genetically modified bacteria make your entire week. By my senior year, I had gone full-on science nerd. The only non-science classes I was taking were the ones required to graduate. English and history, but that's still saying a lot because I took a full schedule my senior year. But still, out of all of the fields of science, why medicine? That's the golden question. It's the one every pre-med is asked to answer when writing the dreaded personal statement. Most of us lie to ourselves and say that we have some epic story to explain it in 500 words or less. But if I'm being honest, I still have no idea. There's no grand cinematic moment for me, no tragic loss of a loved one or some defining moment that tested my character. It was so much slower than that. It built up over years, layer by layer, class by class, question by question. It grew the same way that really falling in love with someone feels like, gradually and unexpected. And eventually I found myself drawn to the most intimidating, complicated, and ridiculously high stakes field of medicine. Neurosurgery. You know, the field where you literally hold someone's memories, personality, and motor functions in your hands. That's what fascinates me. The brain is who we are. It's not just some machine, it's everything. It's our thoughts, our emotions, our ability to understand a joke and to remember our friends' birthdays. Neurosurgery requires extreme precision, but also a deep empathy, because you're not just fixing tissue, you're helping restore someone's identity. And that's a level of responsibility that 5-year-old Emily would have sprinted away from. When I was writing the speech and thinking about my future, the white coat ceremony is what came to mind. It's the moment when you go from being a student to an actual doctor, when you promise to do no harm, when you put on that coat and realize it's not just a symbol of achievement, it's a symbol of responsibility, trust, and purpose. If I could stand in front of 5-year-old Emily now, I think she'd be stunned. She'd laugh and she'd look at me like I lost my mind. But deep down, I think she'd also be a little proud. Maybe she said absolutely not all those times because she knew just how much it meant to say yes. But now I can't imagine saying anything but.